Hi, I'm Virginie Kobigo. I'm an associate professor in the School of Psychology at the University of Ottawa. I'm also a researcher affiliated with the Center for Research on Educational and Community Services, and I'm the director of a new research infrastructure that is called Open Collaboration for Cognitive Accessibility. Open is a social enterprise based at the University of Ottawa that offers a platform for inclusive research. We make sure that we can adapt processes, research methods to make the research process accessible to persons with cognitive disabilities.
So I'm more of an advisor. So I give the knowledge, I give the experience to Virginie, Fatou, and Hajer. So basically, I get paid to teach and they get paid to learn, which is the opposite of the U Ottawa.
We try to focus our research on issues relevant to their social inclusion or the cognitive accessibility of our environment.
Historically, the sciences is a very kind of not very inclusive area, not very many women, people with disabilities, or racialized groups, which I am all three. So working in this research group has been very amazing, and I've learned a lot on the intersectionalities between my identities and how to use that in my research. So I learned a lot about cognitive accessibility, but also being a Black woman, I realized that Black people are underrepresented in the disability studies. So I think that that's an area I would also like to explore. So I've also learned to use my personal experiences to enrich my research.
Even if you're not a researcher working on topics relevant or directly relevant to persons with cognitive disabilities, it's easier for you to understand their needs and do research that might have an impact if you involve them in the design of your experiment or in the knowledge translation phase.
Our contribution it's good for them. It's more accessible, it's for us, or all of us, I should say.
I did learn to do a lot of inclusive research. Myself being a person with autism, I'm very I think a certain way, and it actually helped me develop my cognitive plasticity and be more open and more aware of the way people are. And for example, when I was doing the testing sessions, I learned to recognize when someone needs a break or how to reformulate certain questions.
And I've been approached by some colleagues from engineering in the past where they had an idea about an app or something that might be helpful for persons with cognitive disabilities, but they actually don't know the need. They don't know exactly how it could be used by the persons if they don't have access to the individuals to make sure they are in tune with the needs of this particular group.
I think the main need is awareness. I think people are not very informed, and I think it probably is due to them not having contact or lived experiences. So I think increasing awareness is really what's needed.
Partnering with inclusive researchers might help them have access to that knowledge that would make their own research more impactful because the link with the population is better articulated.